6, and the Sicarii would be 7. All right, the scribes, not a religious group, not a political group, a professional group. And here are 3 words in your New Testament that are interchangeable: lawyer, scribe, teacher of the law. Lawyer, scribe, teacher of the law. They were also called rabbis, which means my great one, or my master, my teacher. The scribes originated with Ezra. And many of the scribes were identified with the Pharisees. And these were the authoritative interpreters of the law. So the scribe had to know the law and the traditions. And you see the Pharisees and the scribes very closely intertwined. Yeah?
That says Samaritans. Is it supposed to be scribes, or is that on a different page somewhere?
Oh, now, you know there may be a typo. Thank you for calling that to my attention. I don't think I noticed that. You know what? Leave the word Samaritans there, and just, after Sicarii or Zealots, if you'll write down the word scribe. Thank you for that. That is an omission on my part. So put down scribe any place with the Herodians, Sadducees, Pharisees, etc. Put down scribe. Samaritan should be in a little bit of a different category from the Jews. We know their story, but we'll get to them. Now, I want you to notice something about the scribes that if you've ever written a term paper, you'll be familiar with this. So you write a paper and you put a footnote there. Why would you put a footnote on a term paper? Well, that's when you're quoting an authority. So the scribes quoted, they could quote the authorities, and they did so when it came to the oral law and the written law. And so they would say, Rabbi so-and-so says this. This is why it said in the New Testament, when Jesus spoke, he spoke as one, he didn't speak like the rest, he spoke as one who had authority, because he didn't cite anybody else. Jesus just said, you've heard it said this way, but I say it this way. And he never said, now, Rabbi so-and-so, Maimonides, or whoever said this. No. Well, the scribes, and think of the words, think of the teachers of the law, experts in the law, and so forth. Now let's come to the last designation, and I think it's on your sheet. Is the word Sicarii there? Yeah, Sicarii. Okay. If you'll write down after that, dagger people. And that word, Sicarii, comes from the word for dagger. And then write down the word assassin. Some people say that the Sicarii were a sect of the Zealots. You see how things keep going down? Pharisees, and then Zealots, and now these guys. Now the Zealots would kill Romans. The Sicarii would also kill Jews. They'd kill Romans and Jews. And what they would do is they would infiltrate a crowd, and under their robes they carried these little daggers. And to strike terror and fear into the Jews who would not go along with revolt, they'd kill them. If they found out that a Jew was cooperating with Romans in any way, shape, or form, they were killed.
Wouldn't it be called terrorist?
Exactly right. If you think of the word terrorist along with the word assassin, you've got it. Now, they're not mentioned in Scripture, and most folks have never heard of them, but look it up and see what you find. You'll find all kinds of great information. And there's a little bit of controversy over whether they were a separate group or aligned with the Zealots. I don't know which is true, but just to know the word, you can find out a lot of information about it.
Do you have an idea on how many?
I have no idea because they were a secret organization. Yeah, we just don't know. Now, on that sheet that you've got there someplace, on your notes, you'll see the word diaspora. Do we see the word diaspora? Yeah, okay. If you'll head this part of your notes, then developments among the Jews. So can we leave these Jewish groups? We're done with the Jewish groups. We see how the society was stratified here. Good. Now, over all of this, I want you to see the word chaos, the word confusion, uncertainty. This characterizes the time between the Testaments, as each of these groups vies for control and power. And boy, what a world to walk into. Sometimes my missionary friends tell me, I have one now, we just sent down to Brazil, and he says, you just can't believe what goes on in these favelas, the slums. It's just horrible. And the world that Jesus came into was a confused world, a chaotic world, all these different religions, we looked at that, all these different groups among the Jews vying for attention and power. It's just very, very, well, you can see where Lewis wanted to write this book, The Search for Peace, Quest for Peace, in the first century. All right, let's talk about the diaspora. What's that word mean? What's a synonym of that word?
Dispersion.
Yeah, dispersion or scattering. By the way, what's a synonym for thesaurus? Anybody know? Just kidding. The diaspora. Let's talk about how the Jews got scattered all over the Mediterranean. So if you can see, we had a map up there a little bit ago. I apologize for putting that on different presentations. We'll use that in just a little bit. But let's talk about the scattering of the Jews outside of Palestine. Here are the causes. Number one, they were taken by force. Some Jews were taken by force. We'll come back to the Samaritans, but you remember when Israel went down in 722 BC, the northern kingdom, when it went down, what did the Assyrians do? Well, they scattered the Jews all over the place to ruin their culture and to make them more compliant. Number two, scattering, Judah was taken by Babylon. We've already given the dates on that in 606, 597, and 586. Now, all of this is going to set the scene. We're back a little bit earlier than the time between the Testaments, but by the time of the New Testament, the Jews are scattered all over the Mediterranean. Number two, not just taken by force, but famine also drove the Jews out of their ancestral home. Other wars and famine. The Jews in the days of Esther, they preferred to stay where they were when conditions got better. When the Persians, we'll tell the story here, but when the Persians let them go home, some of them just stayed where they were. If you'll make a note of this, in the days of Jeremiah, there were communities of Jews in Egypt at 4 different locations. In the days of Jeremiah, there were Jews in Egypt, 4 different locations. 4 different locations. Another cause for the scattering, I will tell the story in a little bit, just get this in your notes. The Syrian kings encouraged Jews to move all over Asia Minor. And do you know why they encouraged them? This is not a racial thing at all. I think it's God's blessing. Are Jews able to make pretty good living generally? Yeah, because their families stick together. So the families work hard, they stick together, and lo and behold, wherever they wind up, they got the bank, they've got... Now, the Syrians, and later the Romans, weren't stupid. And they told Jewish people, and I get this, they told Jewish merchants, if you'll move to here and start a business, we'll give you a tax abatement. What's a tax abatement? You don't pay taxes. So for you, no taxes for 10 years if you'll bring your business over here. And that resulted in Jews being all around the Mediterranean. So when you read about the diaspora, some were taken by force, some because of famine or wars, some because they were encouraged to start businesses all over the place. And by the way, by New Testament times, more Jews lived outside of Palestine, maybe 3 to 5 million, than lived in the homeland. Now that's according to the Zondervan Bible Dictionary. Let me run that by you again. By the time of the New Testament, so let's think in terms of Jesus' birth. 3 to 5 million Jews lived outside of Palestine, and that many didn't live in Palestine. Now, that sounds well and good. What happens when people leave home and go to other cultures? They absorb those cultures, don't they? See? And so here Jesus comes to his own, and his own received him not.